Welcome to another episode of Not Another Movie Geek. Transmission starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, it's February 16th, 2013. I'm Jason, and this is the first official Not Another Movie Geek podcast. So let's get the show started. I think the biggest news story right now would probably be all the stuff that's happening with Star Wars. Of course, the biggest news was that J.J. Abrams would be directing the upcoming Episode 7, which, after, they've really always wanted to complete the saga. There's episodes 1 through 6, and then, there's always the promise, the hope that, 7 through 9 would happen, and honestly, it didn't look like it would ever happen. But then all of a sudden, George Lucas gives away his, property rights to the franchise. Disney bids, and, the rest hopefully will turn out good. And J.J. Abrams getting the directing spot is actually, a really good step towards that. I think he's probably the best choice, the best director for this genre. I think he's proven himself. He's a fan favorite, of course, unless you are a fan of Lost. The ending's a little disappointing. But I think another thing, and it's weird because the two franchises, historically, been butting heads. J.J. Abrams is the director of the Star Trek reboot, which is amazing, and lens flares and all. And it was kind of surprising that Abrams was given Star Wars. A little disappointing too, in that Abrams will more than likely not direct any more Star Trek films after Into the Darkness comes out this summer. Probably because he's going to be working on Star Wars for the next couple of years. So kind of good and bad, depending. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's awesome. If you're a Star Trek fan, I guess less so. If you're a nerd like me and you love both the franchises, it's best of both worlds. Also, on top of all the J.J. Abrams madness over Episode 7, Disney also announced that they would be doing spin-off movies, which is also amazing. They haven't actually announced any of the characters yet. It's just really speculation, but the three main characters that everybody's pretty much said, yeah, these are the guys, are Yoda, Boba Fett, and Han Solo, which three pretty, those are the big fan favorites. Which is funny because, you would think Vader would, somehow get his own little thing, like the years between episode 3 and up into 4 or something like that. I don't know. But actually, no, I really don't want to see like the main people. It's really cool that they're gonna do Boba Fett, especially. That's pretty awesome. And Han Solo, I'm kind of iffy on Han Solo, but it could work. And speaking of Han Solo, and segueing into another little Star Wars story, this concerns Episode 7. Once again, it seems that Harrison Ford may be returning for Episode 7 as Han Solo. But this, of course, in one aspect, nobody really knows. They're still negotiating the deal. But that just opens up a whole bunch of different questions. It's like, what is he gonna be? Han Solo in the timeline? Is it just gonna be an older Han Solo, or is it gonna be like a flashback? Because I think Episode 7 takes place like 30-some years after Jedi, so it's gonna be interesting to see on that one. So basically, if you're a Star Wars fan, you can be really, really happy right now. Okay, since Star Wars took up the entire news segment, I wanted to jump right into our review portion of the show. This is basically just my time to talk about random shows, movies, things that may or may not be on Netflix or any other video subscription service you may have. And the first movie I wanted to do is called BREW. Comes from the filmmaking duo of Jimmy George and Chris LaMartina. And the thing that really strikes me about this movie is that it was made for $16,000. These guys went on Kickstarter, which is basically a place independent artists, filmmakers, basically people that don't have the money to do their projects. They can post information about it, and then they can get donations. And they did that, and they were successful. They raised over $16,000, not too much over $16,000, I believe. And they made this movie, and it's almost mind-boggling that they made this good-looking of a movie with that little bit of money. They're do-it-yourself filmmakers. They've been making movies for a few years now, very, very low budgets. I think this is the highest budget they've ever had on a movie, and it struck me that the quality of the movie. I was just, I've seen big budget movies that didn't look this good. I don't know what camera they were using. I don't know if it was the editing software or what, but it was just like high quality. It looked really, really good, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. It's the gory. I think they've just about killed everybody they could in this thing, in completely different ways. Like, I don't think there's, one death scene. Each death scene was different. It was just really fun to watch. So I recommend you watch that. They need to make more things like this. It was really entertaining. Next, I saw this on Netflix a couple of weeks ago, actually. It's called Video Game High. I think it used to be. At some point it was a mini like a mini web series on YouTube or something. Because I heard them talking about it. I found them on Netflix, and they have a tendency to take those little web shows and put them into one big movie, which kind of worked. It's kind of worked with some web shows, and it kind of didn't work with this a little bit because they didn't. I think they just took all the episodes and put them into one long, movie-like package. For instance, they also have the Guild on there. It's another web series. They ran it a little better, but on the movie itself, very, very good quality. I think the big thing is the effects for me. When they're actually in the video game, it was just pretty awesome. The effects that they used for the gunfire and the very video game like. It was pretty awesome. The story was pretty good. It's video game high. I would recommend that. Also, speaking of Netflix, I watched a show called Hyperdrive. I think it's only had 2 seasons, but it stars Nick Frost, who was in Shaun of the Dead. Paul. He's basically the captain of a starship. Basically, they work for Britain, and they go around space trying to sell lots in small communities within Britain, like really crappy villages. But they're from outer space, so the people they're selling these to, they have no idea what this place is. They're just trying to sell land or rights to minerals or whatever. And basically, they just run into different little misadventures along the way. Yeah, Nick Frost is pretty funny, and I can't remember the girl's name, but she's huge. She's like 6'3", 6'4". I don't know. She towers over everybody, but she's absolutely hilarious. And little pleasant, little find on Netflix. Just getting into like the BBC stuff pretty heavy after Doctor Who. It's just like got into Red Dwarf, found Hyperdrive, which I really recommend. So I would definitely check that one out. And last but not least, I finally got around to seeing Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. Kind of one of those 50-50 movies. It's like kind of liked it. Some parts I didn't really like. It was really short. I think that was the big problem I had with it. I mean, I could have did a lot more as far as making it a little longer. I don't know, but the story was okay. The acting was, I mean, I think the main draw was the fact that they they're turning all these fairy tales and stuff into horror. They're giving them horror elements. I think they're doing Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies at some point, or were. But that's kind of like this. They took Hansel and Gretel and made them, witch hunters. Just kind of tired of seeing Jeremy Renner play the same type. I mean, it's just like, oh, we're gonna put him in leather and give him a bow and arrow. He seems to do pretty well with that. I.e. the Avengers. Yeah, it was okay. Nothing to write home about. Be like, oh my god, you gotta go out and see this movie. Okay, guys, so that's the show. That was number 1. I can only expect it to get better as we go along, but next week, expect a review from A Good Day to Die Hard, number 5 in the Die Hard series. I hear mixed reviews, mostly bad, but I'm going to make my own decision. I'll see that probably tonight, possibly, maybe some time before, definitely some time before next weekend, because next weekend's got some good stuff coming out too. Also, I'm going to do a special review / celebration of the 40th anniversary of my favorite movie, The Great Escape. Okay, so I will see you guys next week.